Don't look now, there's an update from Master Duel, everyone. And this time,
there won't be any survivors.
There was a big old 3GB update for the game with a ton of new features, mostly in regards to a lot of patching and quality of life upgrades, such as now listing newly added cards for packs in the store, the ability to delete multiple decks in the deck screen, and a retry button for solo mode, so you don't have to go all the way back to the menu to retry. Also, decks can finally be edited in the Duel room, making side decking a lot easier than before. And now there's a pretty nice feature where you can link deck lists with the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG database. I think. The post has a question mark, so maybe they don't know. Also, there's some new summon animations for Decode Heat Soul, Ghost Trick Festival, and some of the cards just added to the game. Oh, and Locomotion Argenx, the card everyone was using. As for duels themselves, you can now choose the order of effect activation during the standby and end phase, which is rather nice. You can now hover over cards in the duel logs to see what effects got activated, so no more legal cheating. And finally, and probably the biggest to me, is the text highlight. When effects are activated or about to be, on the card description it highlights what effects can be or has been activated, which is a huge step forward in accessibility in the game. There are plenty of cards that are rather simple in execution but are giant walls of text, which makes it seem more daunting than it is. So the fact that this streamlines it massively is rather helpful. It's still a work in progress. I noticed it doesn't come up for some cards still, but it's a massive step in the right direction.
A new way to play is here.
Kinda. Team duels have been introduced. Don't confuse this for tag dueling, it's more akin to that one episode of Arc 5, with a best of 3 different duels simultaneously. To the point there's a set list based on the episode. There are some features like the ability to theme your team after a certain card, which if you're not doing band cards or Super Team Buddy Force Unite, what are you doing? And some unique chat options and such, but it still feels rather early days. Like I feel as though it could use some in-game options for talking out strategies and tactics, but it's somewhat limited. It's rather fun though in a way, so I'm hoping that this feature does get expanded in the future, because I think there is a lot of potential here for something really big and game-changing. A new selection pack is here with Battle Trajectory. The main theme of this one being Pendulum monsters with a ton of new support for Pendulum decks, such as new Performapal and Odd Eyes monsters, the introduction of the Valence archetype, which is kinda like not as good Mech Knights mixed with Pendulum, the Scareclaw range of monsters, which apparently can be Baguska on steroids, which sounds great. Let's see how much they— never mind! Some other new cards include Visa Starfront, Musical Sumo Dice Games, and the most interesting one given the theme of the pack, Beyond the Pendulum, who is essentially Electromite but not as horrifyingly broken, albeit still powerful. However, Electromite as of writing is still legal in the game, so be prepared, Pendulum Magician might just go up in tier.
There appears to be some leaks, like one may find inside of a subway station.
I'm normally hesitant to cover leaks as they typically revolve around assets that they don't release for months, but it wouldn't be right not to talk about them. According to Master Duel Meta, several new additions in the games are 2 mates based on Skull Servant and Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo, and a lot of items themed around ghost tricks, as well as the implication of a solo mode themed around them. If you've never played them, they're kinda like flip monsters, but they're not great at all. They're one of those decks where you encounter on a bad day where you lose to them and swear they're busted, but in reality that was like the one win for the person using them. So honestly, a great candidate for a solo mode, which gives you a chance to try out decks you might not use otherwise. Plus I dig their whole Halloween aesthetic. Also, some new Duel Pass rewards were listed with monster art for shooting Quasar Dragon, and Meteonus Drytron, and new mates with Marshmallow and Karibo. Finally, about frickin' time! 2 festivals are apparently on their way, one confirmed and one not so confirmed as of writing. The definite one for December is the next Duelist Cup, which should hopefully go a little smoother than last time. I've kind of warmed up to the last Duelist Cup after some heavy thinking, and I think the problem was more so the format the game was in at the time. It was the peak of the DPE and Adventure Engine, VFD and Halcadon. It was a nightmare. Whereas the current format is honestly a lot less of a headache. Like yes, branded cards are really overused, I'm not gonna disagree there. But I will happily accept that over Halcon Pals. Hopefully this will go well and not be a mess like the last one, especially in regards to the second half, which had a number of controversies, let me put it like that. And finally, according to data mining, the next festival is an anti-spell festival. This is interesting for a few reasons. One being that it's a festival, not a regulation duel like the last one, so thank goodness we're not doing that crap again. Second, given that Konami has been a bit harder on floodgates for events, I wonder what this will mean for this event in particular. Like, to put things in perspective, a combo of anti-spell fragrance and skill drain would just completely break this event, being able to stop monster effects as well as pendulum effects. I'll do a ban list update when it gets released. Speaking of, this is probably the best way to go about doing a pendulum festival without it being, a pen fest, because they kinda need other extra deck monsters. So we're probably gonna see a lot of decks like Pendulum Magicians, Abyss Actors, and Klee, but as well as some decks that are more trap focused like Altergeist, Trap Tricks, and Paleo. It's especially going to be interesting as Endymion, typically one of the best Pendulum decks, is going to be pretty poor in this event with the lack of spells. Hell, even Eldritch utilizes quite a bit of spells that are going to be banned in this event. There are also some leaked loner decks made for the event, with decks dedicated to Pendulum Magicians, Dinomorphia, and Amazement, which I've never gone up against, have no idea how they work, and the top deck list appears to have not been updated since Imperial Order was legal, so I'm worried. We'll probably know in a week whether or not it's the Anti-Spell Festival, so I'll give an update on the ban list and what are in the loner decks. Hi, Uncle U from the future here. Literally, when I finished this video, they uploaded the festival ban list and loner deck lists, so no addendum needed. The Pendulum loner deck is mostly fine with a heavy emphasis towards summoning Zark. The Dinomorphia deck actually looks almost perfect in a lot of ways, and Amazing Attractions still boggles my mind. As for the ban list, it seems mostly geared towards stopping a lot of self-burn and stall play, with all the barrier statues and high-cost self-burn cards being banned. Several floodgates are out along with Denko Sekka, which makes a lot of sense as that card would prevent traps from being set. Fascinatingly, Solemn Judgment is at a 1. I say fascinatingly as Judgment being limited makes it so that Judgment doesn't just immediately end your opponent's turn, and is a big hit towards decks like Dinomorphia, who use the fact your life points are getting halved to their advantage. Solemn Strike has also been limited at 2 for presumably the same reason. Curiously though, a lot of the big hand traps like Ash Blossom and Max Z have not been hit. This may sound like an odd point, but bear in mind we don't have Called by the Grave in this event, so that might prove to be an issue. Also bizarrely, Anti-Spell Fragrance is still in the game. I know you're thinking, well, it's no problem in an event with no spells, right? Well, except for the fact that Pendulum monsters count as spells and this just completely takes them out, as they can't be set. Bit of an oversight, gotta say, so Pendulum players, get Red Reboot on standby. In fact, just craft Red Reboot in general. But anyhow, what did you think of all these updates? All sounded good? What do you think of the Anti-Spell event? Let me know in the comments, please subscribe and...
Let's go!